Hey everyone, what's up? It's Scott the Frozen Gamer. So the Dice Tower Awards just came out today, and when I'm filming this, and I thought I might as well go through like I would the Tony Awards and the Academy Awards and all the award shows, and kind of go and say what I thought the Dice Tower got right on these nominees and what they missed, like what games got snubbed for each of the categories. Now here's the big kicker on this whole thing is that I haven't played most of these games, but I do watch the games live. I have read the rule books. I've at least seen reviews on most of these games, so I know at least a little bit about all of them, because I have to know about every single game ever made because I'm a nerd that way and I am addicted to this hobby. So let's just get started, and we're going to start with the way they announced them. So we're going to go with the best welcoming games, which would be like the best family games, the best gateway intro game to get people into gaming, ones that you could play with anyone, right? So this was the one that I disagreed with them the most. I think they kind of missed this whole entire category. Their nominees were Dice Manor, Fiction, Gnar, Robot Quest Arena, Wandering Towers. Now, Dice Manor, I feel like kind of got thrown in there, maybe because it's a Dice Tower Essential. Fiction didn't do that well. It didn't get great reviews. Gnar is a pretty good game for most people. I didn't love it. It was nice, but I didn't love it. Robot Quest Arena, I don't really know much about, and Wandering Towers is kind of cool looking. But I had a whole long list for this one of games that could be in as well that I didn't put in for replacements, but Namalia, Bacon, Romy Rami, In the Footsteps of Darwin, Trailblazers, Pray Another Day, Five Towers, Imperial Miners, Star Wars the Deck Building Game, Lacuna, Chomp, Waterfall Park, Mycelia, Mori, Star Wars, I already said Star Wars the Deck Building Game, and Forest Shuffle. Now they have Forest Shuffle later, but I think it's easy enough to be in the welcoming games group because it's really not that tough of a game. But the five that I would replace their five with is Bonsai, Dragon Keepers, which is a Dice Tower loved game. I'm surprised that one didn't make it. Art Society, which is just instead of like lots of these are card games, this one's an actual board game, in the traditional sense of board games, and just really well done, really well received. Disney Lorcana is a very simple game, and I don't know, that's like one of the most welcoming themed games and just welcoming game. I played it with my, at the time, 6-year-old son, and yeah, just an easy game for him to learn. And then my big one was Far Away. Now there is a little trickiness in Far Away, but it is a super light game once you get past that first tiny hurdle of learning that you have to like go backwards, and once you play your cards forward. Those are the five I would go with for best welcoming game. Best small publisher, I didn't do this one because I don't know the small publishers well enough, and I didn't want to go spend hours looking through every publisher on the list to make sure that they fit in the small publisher category. So I'm just going to say, good job, Dice Tower. You nailed that one. Best strategy game, theirs was Darwin's Journey, Distilled, Earth, Forest Shuffle, and the White Castle. So I think they did pretty good on this one. Darwin's Journey, Earth, and White Castle, the White Castle, are like definites in the category, right? Forest Shuffle, I said, put in the best welcoming game instead of best strategy game. They put it in best strategy game. So that's there. And Distilled is a quality game as well. But I would get rid of Distilled and Forest Shuffle, and instead, the ones that just missed my list is Hooky and Nucleum. The ones that I would put in for best strategy game, though, is Barcelona and Hegemony. Barcelona, just again, really well received, just a nice classic Euro game. And Hegemony, it's the highest rated game from 2023 so far on Board Game Geek, or the highest ranked game. And it's amazing looking, and the rules are awesome, and everything I've watched of it being played is awesome. It's like a little mini coin game, but not quite as complex. And yeah, that should have definitely been in there. So those are my two to replace Distilled and Forest Shuffle. Next up is the best two-player games. So I think they nailed this one as well. So theirs is Disney Lorcana, spoilers before I even announced what the nominees were that they already announced. Disney Lorcana, The Match of the Century, Sail, Sky Team, Star Wars the Deck Building Game. The only other two I could even think of that could fit were Undaunted, Battle of Britain, and General Orders World War II. Is that what? Yeah, General Orders World War II. I believe both of those, if I remember correctly, are David Thompson games. But I think those other five really kind of fit that best two-player game perfectly. Best solo games. Now, I play a lot of games solo, and this is one that I'm going to kindly disagree with them on some of them. So their nominees were 20 Strong, For Northwood, Kinfire Delve, Legacy of You, and Sleeping Gods Distant Skies. The ones that I had just missed making it to replace some of their games was Numbsters, the button shy game, and Hoplomachus Victorum, the chip theory game. Jeez, they're from Minnesota. I can't even remember their name. That's bad of me. Those two just missed it for me. But I would get rid of 20 Strong. The game just, I thought it was a really cool idea, but with all the modules, I think some looked cool, but some didn't. Legacy of You just kind of bounced off of me a bit, and Sleeping Gods, I didn't play Distant Skies. I played the original Sleeping Gods. I played it solo and just did not enjoy myself at all with that playing it solo, nor do I think I would have liked the game in general either for my taste. So what 3 games would have I put in for those 3? Well, first, let's talk about the 2 that I would keep from there. For Northwood, it's just a great solo game, a great tiny little solo game where you're just playing like a little trick-taking game by yourself, and but it's just great. Kinfire Delve, I haven't played. I don't know a whole lot about other than that people have been talking about it in the solo community as a outstanding game. So the 3 I would put in, 2 of them are behind me. Actually, all 3 are behind me. Mr. President, Halls of Hegra is up there. Maybe you can see it right there. And Witchcraft. So Mr. President is the 18-plus hour solo game from GMT. Of course, that's not going to make the Dice Tower list, but it should because it's such an amazing experience game. Halls of Hegra is one of the best solo games, not only one of the best solo games, but one of my all-time favorite games after I have played it 1.5 times now. Since I bought it, and this game, that's just a stellar game, let alone a solo game. And Witchcraft, Z loves this game. It was the re-implementation of Resist, I think, right? Resist, and it's a game where you're witches, and it's the same exact system as the old game, just re-implemented with the new theme and a couple new add-ons to it. But I thought it was decent so far from what I've played. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, but it is a quality game. Z loves it, so I'm shocked that it didn't make it into the top best solo game nominees for the year. Next up is most innovative games, so games that just kind of broke new ground in the hobby. So theirs were Books of Time, Earthborn Rangers, Kutnahora, Noobs in Space, and Sky Team. All of these have, I can't argue them, really. They're all really good choices. Books of Time has you're building, like you're playing in this little binder book type thing, which is just really cool. Earthborn Rangers is you're playing a game that really doesn't have a win or lose condition in it. Kutnahora, I believe, was nominated because of the new bits that they have that are the rewood, where they are kind of like plastic, but they're made out of recycled wood. Noobs in Space has where everyone has their own part of the puzzle, right? And you have to try to put it together. And Sky Team which is behind me somewhere too. That game is just, I've never seen a game like it before. It's completely unique. So out of those 5 games, which ones would I keep? I could argue any of them could be kept, but I'd say through the 3 I want to hang on to is Earthborn Rangers, Noobs in Space, and Sky Team. We're going to get rid of Books of Time and Kutnahora. Games that just missed it for me were Mythwind, which is very similar to Earthborn Rangers, except it didn't get reviewed as well. Shake That City, where you put down the little cubes through that mechanism and then use that patterns of the cubes. And Ice, where you're breaking down the ice as you're playing the game and going further and further down the ice. But the 2 that I would replace Books of Time and Kutnahora with are both word games. I don't even play word games that often, but I do have one of them on my shelf, and that is Hooky, and the other one is Illiterati. Both word games. Illiterati has the tiles, and you're doing all sorts of funky stuff with these tiles that I've never seen done in a game before, and Hooky is a deception game. It's not a deception game. It is a deduction game where it's a hardcore deduction game where you kind of have a 5-letter word, and you're trying to figure out what words are not that no one has. There's 3, or sorry, not words, what letters, 3 letters no one has. And those are the 3 kids that are playing Hooky. Completely unique deduction game. So cool. And I believe, according to BGG, it's 2023. For some reason, I thought it was 2022, but it is a 2023 game. So my most innovative, I'd put Hooky and Illiterati in there. Best cooperative games. Again, hard to argue the ones they have. They had pretty good choices here. So they have Kinfire Chronicles, Sky Team, Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies, Tales from the Red Dragon Inn, and Unmatched Adventures, Tales to Amaze. Now, Kinfire Chronicles, again, just so highly reviewed. It's like an 8.5, 8 point, maybe even higher on Board Game Geek right now. Sky Team, this is just a game that everyone seems to love. It's still it's been one of the most owned games of 2023 produced games. And then Unmatched Adventures, the Dice Tower, like almost all rated like a 10 out of 10, I believe, if I remember correctly. So those three are the keepers from my list. Again, Sleeping Gods just kind of bounced off of me, and I know this is cooperative. I think it would play better cooperative than solo, at least with one other person. I think 2 players would be kind of tops with that. And then Tales from the Red Dragon Inn, just not my theme, so I'm booting it. Ones that just missed the list for me would be Earthborn Rangers, Dutch Resistance, Orange Shall Overcome, but I'm going to add in Freelancers, which is the sequel to Deep Waters. Is that the name of the game? The Plaid Hat Games book game where you're going on an adventure with the app and the professional voiceovers. This was the follow-up with Freelancers, where you're all playing as freelance people for hire. And Daybreak, which is a co-op game in the classic sense that was really well reviewed. And again, that's the one I'm very surprised didn't make their nomination list, because it's just such a classic style cooperative game, and it's been so well liked. It's a shame that one got snubbed. Best party games. This one they nailed. They nailed this. So Among Cultists, Blob Party, yes, Fiction, Nikojima, and that's not a hat. Nikojima is the what's it called? Where you're building stuff, dexterity game. Man alive, I'm getting my D's mixed up today. That's not a hat is one of my favorite games from last year. It's so dumb, but it's so good. Blob Party is where you all start with separate blobs, and as you connect with other people, you're building your blobs together. Among Cultists is a new party game in the Among Us style of game. And Fiction, again, a game not the most well received. That's the only one I would bump from this list. The ones that just missed for me was Hollywood 1947. I could replace that with Among Cultists if I wanted to, but I'll just give it to Among Cultists. I like the theme of Hollywood 1947 a little bit better than Among Cultists, but I think the Among Cultists gameplay is a little bit more unique than the Hollywood 1947 gameplay. And then the game I would replace Fiction with is, and this game is just being talked about now. It has a 2023 on BGG, so maybe it came out small first. But I'm seeing it played now. I learned about it within the last month, and that's the same game, but we're going to count it as a 2023 game. It's the game with the cups, and you're trying to get people to get, the right stuff with the cups, whatever. I'm not explaining it at all. It's a great game. It was just done on game night with Board Game Geek, I believe. Is that where I saw it? Now I can't even remember where. I just watched it too. Man, my memory is shot. So too late at night for me while I'm recording. But that's the one I would replace Fiction with. Best theming in games. This one, I disagreed with them quite a bit. Actually, this was not my most disappointing one, but I do disagree with them quite a bit on this one. So theirs was Age of Comics, Distilled, Sky Team, The Fox Experiment, and Thunder Road Vendetta. Now, those all do have great themes in the game and use their theme very well. Distilled is the most boring theme of them, making beer for, I think, it's just very classic Euro-style theme, right? But they use the mechanisms very well in that game. The Fox Experiment has a really cool fox theme. Thunder Road is like all theme, right? The whole game is theme. And I have another long list here. Dutch Resistance, Orange Shall Overcome, The Witcher Old World, Apiary, Septima, Scarface 1920, and really Jerusalem Anno Domini, I think has a really interesting theme with the Last Supper going on, and trying to place yourself in the Last Supper is a really cool theme. But didn't make my list. Here's the 4 that would replace everything except Thunder Road Vendetta, which is a game I didn't love, to be honest, but it's all theme. The whole game is theme. It does feel like a Mad Max game, but these are the ones I would replace it with. Station Fall, behind me, hidden right in that cube right there. That game is all theme as well. You're on a space station that's about to crash in 15 minutes and burn up in the atmosphere, and you need to get off, or maybe you don't need to get off, depending on what characters you have. It's all secret characters, and all those characters feel exactly like they are supposed to. There's a daredevil, there's a billionaire, there's the corpsicle that's frozen to start the game, there's the telepathic rat, there's the space chimp, there is the boarder that secretly comes on. There's all the different characters in the game, and they all play so thematically. It's ridiculous. The game is a bit chaotic. I love the game partially because it's chaotic, and I love chaos in my games, but the theme is out of the park good. Mr. President, as I mentioned before, it really feels like you are... It doesn't really feel like you're the president, but as far as gaming goes, it feels like you're the president. You're making these really tough choices as you're playing out. In my last game, I did so poorly, I got impeached after my first year that I played of it. It didn't last me 18 hours because I got impeached so quick and kicked out of office. Freelancers, again, by Plat Hat Games, just nails the theme with the story that goes along with that game. And I've barely cracked into it so far, and I'm already just like immersed in the theme of that game. And then the Plum Island Horror by GMT Games, and Herman Luttman it's not a zombie game, but it's like a zombie game where these monsters are coming in, and it's a kind of a tower defense game as well, or State of Siege tower defense style game. And but it's all in this B comic book style, this B movie comic book style theme in it, which just is nailed. Herman Luttman nailed it, and GMT nailed it, and it just oozes the theme nonstop. So those are the games I would replace everything except Thunder Road. Best new designer. Again, I wasn't going to go through and see which designers have only had 1 or 2 games under their belt. Here's the ones that they had, that they nominated. Connie Vogelman for Apiary, Dave Beck for Distilled, Kosh for Forest Shuffle, the 2 Greek guys that did Hegemony, and I'm not even going to try their names, and Roy Canaday for Last Light. And that one is like, they did that? Dice Tower did that, but they should have done that. That game is outstanding, and Roy Canaday deserves that nomination and maybe win. The only one that maybe I would take off was Connie Vogelman for Apiary, and I would put in Danny Garcia for Barcelona in there. Other ones that I thought of were Brant Brinkerhoff for Oros, and Marcel Kohler for Dutch Resistance, Orange Shall Overcome. Best artwork. This is the one I disagreed with the most. So there's where Dixit Disney, Kinfire Chronicles, Disney Lorcana, Septima, and Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies. So the Dixit, Disney, and Disney Lorcana are really good art, but it's already based off of Disney. It's not like something totally unique to me. So I was like, Kinfire Chronicles, I just didn't jive with that art personally. Septima, I didn't think was like the most amazing art personally. Even though I love the theme of the game, I'm dying to play the game. I didn't love the art in it. And Sleeping Gods, I'm just not like a Ryan Lockett fan. I know. But lots of people are, so maybe if any of them stayed, that would be the one I'd give it to. But the 5 some that just missed my list were La Familia, the Great Mafia War, Amritsar, The Golden Temple, Far Away, which I think is just adorable art, and I believe every card is completely unique in that game, the artwork on it. I might be wrong on that, but I believe that from memory. Nucleum, I think, has a great art for a Euro-style game, but the ones that I would put in instead of the 5 that they chose were Daybreak by Mads Berg. I love that style art in that game. I think the board is gorgeous. I think the box is gorgeous with that kind of like geometric abstract look to it. Apiary by Kwanchai Moria, who I think is one of the best artists in the business. And that Space Bee is like, just, I don't know how well the game's going to do over time, but that Space Bee is like an iconic figure stuck in my brain forever now. Sail by Webster Santiago, who also did my short list of La Familia, the Great Mafia Wars. I gave it to Sail because I think the board itself is nicer as well, and all the rest of the game, not just the cover. But man, live is at some good art, and I think Webster Santiago does really good, really kind of, it's almost like a little off kilter, but really good art. Then Barcelona has Zuzana Kolakowska and Alexander Zavada. For a Euro game, I think it's just because lots of Euro games I don't think have beautiful art, But this Euro game, I think, has absolutely gorgeous art from the cover down to the game itself. I just think the artwork throughout is gorgeous. And then again, I'm going with one of my tried and true, Station Fall, which is the art is by Madeline Fiel, Ann Isaacson, and Josephine Strand, who all work for, or at least constantly get hired to do the art for Ion Games, if not work for them solely. And the art in Station Fall is just perfect. Like, every character is perfect. The giant space station in the middle of the board is just exactly how I would want it to look like. Everything's functional in it, and it looks just great. So those are the artwork that I would do. Best reprint, they had Castles of Burgundy, La Granja, the deluxe version, the Castle of Burgundy deluxe version as well. Raw, the new edition of that. Santa's Workshop, which I don't know much about, and then Zuvadis. So I would keep Castles of Burgundy, La Granja, and Raw in there. Santa's Workshop, again, I just don't know enough about. And Zuvadis, I think I'm going to love the game when I play it. I'm dying to play it. It's like a number one on my wish list right now. And but best reprint, I don't know. What they missed, which I'm shocked about, is Dune Imperium Uprising. Like, how could that not be on the list? That game is so good. It makes an already good game even better with the slight changes they made. So that one's one that I would put on the list. Some that didn't make the list were that I thought should, were Age of Innovation for Terra Mystica, Great Western Trail New Zealand for Great Western Trail, Subterra 2, Archaeos Society for Ethnos, Witchcraft, which did Resist, and that was it for my short list. And my last one that I would have had to replace, Santa's Workshop or Zuvadis, is Waterfall Park, which re-implemented Chinatown. And I don't know how much they're doing re-implementations over best reprint, but this is basically the same game, or very similar of the game as Chinatown, but they got rid of the very questionable theme of today's society with the gorgeous, actually, Waterfall Park design. So that was it for best reprint. Best production, I thought they did a really good job on overall. Best production value, they had Castles of Burgundy, the new deluxe edition, Distilled, Raw, Thunder Road Vendetta, and World Wonders. It's hard to argue any of those to be gone. And my short list was Cosmoctopus. I don't know anything about the game other than the octopus that sits in the middle of the game with the tentacles. Three Ring Circus has the cute little big tops all over it. That just makes it look great. Nucleum all around looks great. Voidfall, which didn't make any nomination for the Dice Tower, which is shocking to me. I would put in best production value, if not other things that I could have put it in as well. Ice, again, just has this amazing production value that's being re-upped in the second edition. So maybe it'll go on next year when the second edition comes out. And then the last one for me, it did have some problems with their production, but overall, I'll go over a couple of them that really bugged me, actually. But despite it bugging me, it should be nominated and maybe should have won. And the two things that bugged me about the production is the orange color ended up being more of a gold color when there's already like a yellow color in the game. And then the ships, they had be different sizes through the Kickstarter upgrade things that you can do. I'm blanking, as I said, I can't think tonight. But the Kickstarter, oh man, what are they called? Where you back enough and stretch goals. There we go. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, brain, for waking up. So they made all the ships different models, but they're all in different scales, so there should be a small ship, a middle ship, and a big ship. And some of the small ships look like medium ships. That's annoying, but the rest of the game is produced so well. It's so amazing to look at it on the table. It's the coolest game I've ever seen on a table, and that is Last Light by Roy Cannaday and Grey Fox Games. So despite those kind of misses in the production, I still would give it a nomination for best production value and maybe even the win. That comes down to the game of the year. So they have Darwin's Journey, Distilled, Earth, Forest Shuffle, Nucleum, Sky Team, The White Castle, Thunder Road Vendetta, Ticket to Ride Legacy, and World Wonders. Again, hard to argue any of those. Those are all great games. The ones that I would take off personally would be Distilled and World Wonders and Forest Shuffle. Barcelona would take over Distilled for me. I'm much more interested in Barcelona than I am in Distilled for a Euro game. I'd have far away take over Forest Shuffle for a small card game. I think Far Away is the better game. Personally, I like it better. I think it's more fun to play than Forest Shuffle. Both really good games, though, but I would sneak Far Away in over Forest Shuffle. And then the last one is, how could this not be in the best games of the year list? And that is Hegemony, and I would put that in over World Wonders, which is a game that I just have no interest. I know that's a Dice Tower Essential game. So again, I don't think that's why they put it in. I hope. But it's been very well received overall. It's like a 7.5 on BGG or something, somewhere around there. So I don't know if that's good enough to be game of the year, well liked enough to be game of the year, and I would replace it with a game that is like an 8.5 on BGG, and that's Hegemony, the highest rated game of 2023. Only got one real nomination from them for best first time designers, I believe. Was that it? No, not best first time designers. What was it? Was it best first time designers? No, I can't find it on my list here. Yeah, best new designers. That's the only nomination that Hegemony got. That game should have been in more nominations, and it didn't even get in the Game of the Year nomination, which is just shocking to me. I don't know, maybe did people play it at the Dice Tower? I can't remember if I watched any of their review the game. Maybe they just hadn't played it enough, or there were people that they asked to review it had played it enough to make the list, because it is a very heavy game. But what a shame. What a shame. But overall, though, the Dice Tower did a very good job. 2 thumbs up for their nominations and all the people that voted on the nominations. Good list overall. I can't complain too much. Even the ones that I replaced, the ones that you picked 99% of the time, I totally understand why they got picked. So it was fun to go through them. It was fun to do the little exercise of seeing what games I would replace with other games. And that's it. Peace. Stay cool.